P3, and then we have Brad here. He's also a P3. I picked calculations. Brad didn't really pick calculations. He just got thrown into here. So we wanted to be more interactive with you guys and see if you guys wanted any examples or any questions. Before we even start, do you guys have anything you want to ask us beforehand?
Any outstanding questions? We know you guys had to kick off today.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything surprise you or any other questions, concerns, anything like that?
Even
Pretty
comments?
straightforward class, but this is weird.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start then. So we just wanted to go over some of the objectives. We want to help you guys understand the importance of this course and also understand the course overview and calculations. We also want you guys to recognize the potential obstacles, but of course develop a strategy plan to overcome it. And then at the end, we hope that you guys will accumulate some helpful tips and strategy for academic success. So the importance of this course, we got to kind of look through your syllabus. Dr. Pav shared it with us. I pulled some of this from there, but some of it was also like my experience as well. You're going to see it when you guys go on your IPPEs at the end of this year as well. The first one would be community or independent pharmacy. I work for CVS, so we're always getting prescriptions in. Most doctors and nurses won't do the calculations for you. They'll always just write like quantity sufficient. So you have to do the math compared to what's available that you have in stock, or it could be just a packaging size. It could be insulin. You have to calculate how much the patient actually needs for their day's supplies. So it's lots of different math. It depends on like what the doctor is sending over, and then you have to just kind of fill in the gaps. For institutions, it's going to be the same thing, which is the hospital. You're still getting the orders from the doctors, but in the hospital settings, most of the time the drugs are going to be in IV bags, so you actually have to mix them. But what if you don't have a concentration in stock and you have something else? So you have to be comfortable with doing the math and ensure that the patient's going to still get the same dose. And of course, compounding. So that's more of like what you guys do in the lab. From what you guys learned from Sudex, and then calculations put together. I think this is like a great way, because that way you guys, I feel like you retain the material a lot better when you're actually physically doing it, instead of just always just reading. I feel like it's better to get hands-on. That's how I usually learn. And then of course the NETPLEX, so that's going to be at the end of your 4th year, and I know that seems really far, but you guys only usually get exposed to this like during your 1st year, and then after this, it kind of like trickles in, but you guys won't have a course where it's just focusing on like calculation. You get quizzes in here just to keep that you guys are on track. But I really do recommend like starting early. If you guys have Facebook, you can go to RX Prep. They have like a huge page where you can just see people posting questions. I know most of the questions you guys won't be able to answer, but if you see some of the math questions, go ahead and give it a try. You don't have to like explain yourself to someone, but it's more of like testing yourself and making sure that you guys are staying on track and that you do retain all this material. And then of course, most importantly, is to ensure that the patient's receiving the right dose at any given drug. I know Dr. Pav doesn't do partial credit, and this is mainly the reason why, is that if you are doing an order in a hospital, whether you mess up on the first stop, the middle stop, or the last stop, you can kill a patient. That's why it's so important to get your calculations right, because there are just so many different drugs out there, and I know like some errors could be easily picked up and like fixed, but like what if the drug was administered and a patient can die? So it is
insulin dose, something like that, based off of a unit conversion.
Exactly. So it's very important.
And just to kind of hit that home, I think Tom made a great point, is that she said it seems like it's far away for the NETPLEX, and it's because it is. It's so far out, and you're really not going to have a lot of courses kind of build on each other, and you'll have kind of a subsequent course down the road. There's no calculations 3. This is you're kind of building this foundation now, and these kind of manipulations and concentrations are really the bread and butter of pharmacy. So make sure you build this foundation early and really know it like backwards and forwards. That way, when you run into these, I think later on they'll give you a little bit of kind of refresher quizzes throughout your time here, kind of intermittently. Just make sure you know it well enough to where you really don't have to review that much. Just kind of have that really solidified, and just kind of have your little strategies for how you can just really know the knowledge and kind of, be able to recite it at any point.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So to do that, it can be a difficult course by just being really self-motivated and kind of knowing your own learning style. I think you really have to optimize your time the best you can outside of class. I know we've kind of switched it to this easy generator where you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, a couple hours at home, and then you have 2 class periods throughout the week where you kind of review it a little bit. I'd recommend really knowing that material well, utilizing that time outside and inside of class as efficiently as you can. Like I know for me, like I can't just go through and just do practice problem after practice problem. It really doesn't register with me. I just kind of have to like understand conceptually what's going on for me to understand the big picture. So I think Dr. Pav says the same thing, but I always pretend that I'm like standing at a desk and I'm doing it. Like pretend you just are at work and you run into this problem. Like how would you fix it? Like you have, imagine the concentrations are all in front of you. Like what would you do? How much of what would you use? And making sure you can always, basically how I do it is I do that and I get my answer and then I'll go back and do it mathematically and make sure that that answer choice is, I have the same thing. So kind of double checking my work throughout the time I'm being there, but it really helps me, and I know a lot of my classmates, it's helped them to really understand what you're doing so that when you get your final answer, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, well, if I'm picturing this, it should be about 30% of this number, and you get it and it's higher. It's like, okay, well, I did something wrong. So just making sure at all points you always know what's going on, and I think that really helps. So don't let yourself fall behind with the easy generators. Make sure you're doing them all correctly and independently. I know you guys have to upload your certificate, is that it, by the end of the week, something like that. So at least that'll keep you on track a little bit. But definitely don't cram it last minute on Sunday. Don't just memorize the formulas because, come a year later, you're gonna have to go through and memorize a whole course again, and it's just not functional. It's not gonna work that way. So just make sure you know and are able to do these kind of things. And yeah, that would prevent you from forgetting old ones. It's kind of, I know this is kind of like a semi-cumulative course, and you're going to see a lot of the material throughout the semester, so you can't just kind of, what do they call it? When you like data dump or something like that.
Yeah, it's like cram and dump or something like
Something
that,
like that,
where you
yeah.
just cram all the material for the exam, and then right when the exam's done, you're just like, oh, nope, forgot everything.
I forgot
So
what that's
jump.
called.
Well, we'll remember it.
Don't, try not to, or at least that it doesn't help me to memorize formulas. If you just off by a little number, you're never going to know. And, you get your final answer and it's just, oh yeah, well that's the answer after I use the formula. And you answer that well. In the real world, that's not going to work out so well. As pharmacists, you really expect it to be perfect with your calculations and never really screw that up because, like Tal was saying, it can be, detrimental to the patient and get in a lot of trouble too. So just make sure you know it well, do yourself a service, and you'll be a better pharmacist because of it. I think this is maybe more so than any other course, I would say, something that you'd really need to know.
I agree. Because like
Pretty
you
much
said,
more,
it's like
yeah.
the bread and butter of pharmacy, because they really expect you to get the prescription correct, whether they write the quantity on there or not, and you have to deal with the insurance too, because you're the one billing the insurance and saying that the patient's supposed to have medication for 3 months, but why are they running out within 2 months? So who's at fault there?
You may know all the science, all the physiology, all the pharmacotherapeutics, all the PK behind, the patient's meds and this, regimen, all this kind of stuff, and it all can come together perfectly, but if you can't calculate it, and if you can't give them the right amount of drug, then all that is useless.
Exactly.
It's,
We have one more slide. Yeah.
So going forward, just kind of make sure that you're on it. Like we said, always stay on top of the easy generators. Try not to fall behind. It's just one of those classes where you don't want to put yourself in that situation to where you're cramming. Trying some open book practice problems. So my strategy was I'd always take the test or take a little practice set of questions and have like my formula sheet right next to it and kind of work back and forth, and then do it a second time, maybe with a different set of problems, and with no formula sheet, just like a pen and paper, and see if I'm able to do it, see what I know, and kind of weasel out what I don't know that I didn't know. And that helped me a lot for the test.
And I think Dr. Pav didn't really give you guys a book this time. We had a PDF version of a book. It was like a little red book that literally all of us had practice problems in there. But it breaks down the chapter, and then also breaks down step by step how to do the practice problem there. And at the end of the chapter, there's more review questions that you're able to do. I wrote my email up there. If you guys are interested in that PDF file, I'll be more than happy to share. I mean, we all used it. I know some of the questions did have errors in them, but if you are really stuck on it, just skip it, because there's multiple problems that you can work on. And if you can get that one, it's probably just an error in the problem. But it was wonderful to us, and usually it's a PDF file, so I have like 2 tabs open. One had the practice problem, the other would have the answers. So
Can I say something? Can we just try to post that maybe on their public page? Would that be easier so you don't get a lot of emails? Or,
yeah,
right?
Sorry to get a lot of emails.
Yeah.
I figured it
But
was just accumulated.
Tell's really great.
Might as well.
Really great at calculation. So if you guys have questions,
We
that's
both
good
tutor
to.
too, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, it's okay. Like, all of us
Sure.
have our strengths and our weaknesses, but we all want everybody to succeed. Like, we have one goal, you know?
Mhm.
So don't be afraid to ask. And it doesn't have to be formal. If you see us in the hallway, you have quick questions, just wave us down, say hi to us, or just meet up. Let's meet. It just feel free to come and talk to us, okay? It doesn't have to be so formal.
If you start taking tests and quizzes and things like that, and you're not getting the grade you want, just make sure you're making those adjustments. If that means reaching out for help, if that means changing your study patterns, just make sure you're making those adjustments early. Don't wait till you get 2 exams piling up and a large percentage of your grade that you're not happy with. Just make those adjustments early, and I think that's be as proactive as you can. I know Rokai has study halls usually on Wednesdays. There's tutors all over the place. Everyone's a tutor. You can always reach out to Dr. Vasquez, can assign you one, or if you have someone that you have used in the past that worked really well, you could reach out to them independently. Just make sure you're getting that help wherever you guys need it.
Yeah, the Rokai that he was mentioning, it's a almost like a weekly study hall. It should start within like next month or so, but it's usually Wednesday evening, and it's like from 5 to 8 within that time, and it's just like an open study hall. Like, there are usually 3 or 5 people in there from Rokai that can help you with almost any subject that you need help with, or you can just sit in there and study, because it's still pretty quiet up there, and then the Rokai students are like up front, and you can just go up there and ask them questions if you're stuck on anything. But we do provide a lot of resources. Like, we do want you guys to succeed, especially like the students that we were in your position, so we completely understand where you guys are coming from. Do you guys have any questions for us?